meeting to order. This is the Green Bay Housing Authority meeting
Recording in progress.
for Thursday, May 18th, 2023. It's a little after 10:30, so item A, we have the Zoom instructions, and we have some Zoom participations. We've got roll call. Item C, is there a motion to approve the agenda? And I would ask, are there any additions or corrections or modifications to the agenda?
No.
No? All right. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I will second it.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye for approval. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved.
Ka, is there volume control on that little screen behind you?
Yes, I think you need to write stuff, isn't there?
Hopefully not that one, but
No, no.
put it on the laptop, right?
There's something on the meeting that got to go to a special place.
Sorry.
No, that's
Quite
okay.
intense.
You guys are super, super loud inside our side.
Okay, somebody say something now.
Can you say something again, Sandy, please?
Sandy, say so.
Oh, that's
Okay,
perfect.
there we go.
Thank you.
All right. All right, now that we've got all the technology resolved,
Drastically improved my own happiness.
Sorry.
Thank you.
got to make everybody happy, especially those living the dream. All right, in your packet was the agenda from the meeting from February 16th of 2023. Are there any additions, modifications, or corrections to that set of minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to
I'll
approve.
second that.
And we have a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item E, public hearings. Number one is a public hearing regarding the capital funding projects for the Green Bay Housing Authority.
All right, so this is an annual requirement in order to get our CFP funds released to us. So a notice was put out, and we did have the information available should anyone request it. Does anyone want to speak on this?
Yeah, I think it's a 3.
Yes.
You do 3s.
Are there anyone wishing to speak on the capital funding projects for the Housing Authority? Anyone wanting to speak at this public hearing on the capital funding projects for the Green Bay Housing Authority? Last and third and last time, anybody wishing to speak on the capital funding projects for the Green Bay Housing Authority? Hearing none?
We can just move on.
Yeah, well, let's close this public hearing first.
Oh, okay.
Is there a motion to close?
I'll motion that.
All right, we have a motion, and I'll second to close the public hearing on the capital funding projects. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item number 2, public hearing regarding the amendment to the Green Bay Housing Authority's 5-year plan. Let's have a motion to open the public hearing. I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so motion, all in favor of opening the public hearing on the Housing Authority's 5-year plan, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Public hearing is now open. Stephanie, you want to give us, or somebody want to give us? Jamie, you want to give us an
gotcha.
update of what this is for?
Sure, so we are amending our current 2025-year plan. We need to have specific RAD and Section 18 verbiage in our plan. And with the RAD information, we are just going to be consistent following the resident rights, participation, waiting list, and their grievance procedures. It's a very large packet, but none of our current tenants will be rescreened when we do formalize into RAD Section 18. All of our tenants have a right to return to Mason Manor. We will renew all their leases per the RAD notices. And if our tenants' rents will exceed the flat rate rent, we will phase them in by 10% over a 2-year period. Also in the 5-year plan, we had to provide relocation requirements. We are getting to the relocation meetings of all of our tenants, so we just had to provide their rights as well. And then we had to also provide the general information notice, which is called a GIN, and then the resident information notice, the RIN. Thank you, HUD, for your acronym. Yes, thank you. So all of the information that we have provided to our tenants is in our notices. We just have to have a public hearing to amend our current 5-year plan.
And relocation is relocating within the building?
Yes.
Within the building, yes, that's what I thought. Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak at this public hearing on the amendment to the Housing Authority's 5-year plan? There's no one in the audience, but again, anyone wishing to speak on the amendment, proposed amendment to the Green Bay Housing Authority's 5-year plan? Third and final call. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in regard to the proposed amendment of the Green Bay Housing Authority's 5-year plan? No one has spoken. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll motion that.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Sure, second.
There is a second down there. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of closing the public hearing on the amendment of the Housing Authority's 5-year plan, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No one in opposition. The public hearing is closed. So now we'll move on to item F, regular business. Item number 1, consideration with possible action on approval of annual civil rights certification resolution number 2023-02, and that is in your packet.
Yes, that is me. So this is an annual requirement for our plans within HUD, CFP plans, operating plans. We all have to have a signed civil rights certification every year. And this started with the Civil Rights Act of 1964. It is an updated form this year, and that is in your packet.
Any questions by anyone? Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion that.
All right, and I will second. Any further questions or discussion? Otherwise, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I think I need to sign this. You're all witnessing me signing this to make it hyper official?
I really love hyper official. That's my
There you go.
favorite kind of official.
All right, moving on to item number 2 under regular business, and that is consideration with possible action on approval of GBHA operating budget and budget resolution number 2023-03 for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023.
All right, that is me again. So we have our annual budget. We've put it together. Sorry, it starts July 1st of 2023. We do have to have this approved before the end of our current year. Much of the budget is very consistent with what it's been in the past couple of years. We've had some increases due to rents, hopefully this coming year. And then for the central office cost center, we are reducing some of our revenues because of having units offline at Mason Manor. That could potentially affect that revenue source. And then that would be also a change on Mason Manor, that we have reduced some of the expenses because of having the units offline. Utilities continue to go up, so that was an increase. And then revenue bonds, good thing we have the University Village housing, that is now pretty much done, so we'll receive that annual amount, and we also are getting our payments from the TWG
Broadway
project.
Lofts, I think, yeah.
Broadway Lofts project, so that has an increased revenue source there.
Okay.
Are there any questions for me?
Any questions for Stephanie? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the budget?
I'll motion that.
All right, and I will second again. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the budget resolution, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Bill, I have a pulse question. The training needs tethered to the agenda item, list housing authority and property to one ink.
Yep.
Okay, does that matter?
They are broken out on the bottom, and that's just because we don't know exactly how or what training will be needed, so we make it flexible and liquid so that we can move it back and forth because some training might have 2/3 is public housing, 1/3 for property management,
From a
so.
budget standpoint, we just keep the both buckets nearby. I get it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the.
No problem. Good question.
The only, we might have additional training because staff will need to be trained on the WIDA tax rules on how to manage. So there's going to be some certification our staff is going to need. But again, that's going to be probably in part of both budgets for training.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to our regular business, item number 3, consideration with possible action on passbook savings.
That's me
Back to
again.
you again.
It's a budget meeting. It's a numbers meeting.
Oh, I have to write lots of numbers, don't they? So this is also an annual thing. What this is any accounts that have a balance greater than $5,000, we would technically need to assess interest on it, and that would be considered income for the tenants. We can go 0.75% above or below the basis point that the Fed has set. And the Fed's rate for us right now for savings is 0.39. We feel that it's beneficial to leave it at 0 for our tenants. So that is what we're requesting.
That's what we did last year too, right?
We've
Yes.
done it that way for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years at least.
At least, yeah, as long as I can remember.
All right. Any further questions? Otherwise, I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
And we have a second. Again, any further questions or discussion before we vote? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We're just cruising along here today. Item number 4, consideration with possible action to approve resolution number 2023-04, authorizing submission of HUD RAD Section 18 blend program application.
Nice.
Yes.
Bill. That was awesome.
So this resolution has been brought to you in 2021, the exact resolution, no verbiage changing. However, working with our consultants, Baker Tilly, we needed to get a letter from the mayor's office, just him writing a letter of support that we are converting Mason Manor to the RAD Section 18 blend. So with our due diligence with HUD, this resolution has to be dated after the letter of support from the mayor. So again, exactly the same resolution, just updating the date.
All right. So, any further questions?
We'll make a motion.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Again, any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 5, consideration with possible action to award Mason Manor quarterly bed bug inspection contract to Sandberg Canine Solutions.
Okay, so our current bid, or current contract with Sandberg Canine Solution has expired. So we did go out for bid, and we received 2 vendors that submitted a bid. Unfortunately, Batsner's was non-compliant because their dogs did not have the required NASDECA certification. And the only other one was Sandberg Canine Solutions. So we are recommending to continue the contract with them. We have a very good relationship with them, and to award the quarterly inspection for 3 years and additional 2 one-year contracts.
What's our bed bug status these days?
Last week, we had our quarterly bed bug inspection, and we had 0.
Oh, great. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Listen, that's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, it is a big deal.
That's a big
So
deal.
they hunt for these things with doggies.
Yes.
They do.
I love doggies. We're like,
With one dog.
Chester is a rock
Yeah.
star.
do
Yeah.
you need me
Mhm.
to, do you need me to wrestle
One
them?
dog.
Because I could, I mean, I could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I can tell you that Mason Manor really is, our policies and procedures that were set up for this program is being used now by our inspection division for other landlords who are having issues in like higher numbered units, like how you deal with it.
Yeah.
So they're like throwing out our policies and so.
Way to go, guys. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It is.
Does this function shift to Properties One? Like, why is the maintenance of the bed bug thing, a housing authority management issue versus I mean, why wouldn't that be private sector at this point? Like, why?
Code actually is if you have multi-units,
Yeah.
that it's the responsibility of the landlord or the owner
Okay.
to abate those
Okay.
issues. I don't know if we've had bed bug issues in our scattered sites or not.
Yes, far and few between, even though if they're multifamily or the single family houses per HUD, well, prior to section
Right.
18, we were required to treat,
Okay.
financially pay for the treatment of.
Yeah, I'm just,
Yeah.
I guess I'm.
But yeah, so that's where landlords are, when we've got, when they own, I think it's 3 or more units, it's the responsibility, I believe, of the landlord to treat
So this
them.
needs to switch to properties one afterwards, or I guess I don't understand.
This is solely for the inspection.
Okay.
So we run Chester, the dog, and John through our property 4 times a year.
Yep.
And
Understood.
strictly to investigate if the unit has bed bugs or not.
And that responsibility remains with the Green Bay Housing Authority and not the properties one
We
version?
do not inspect our scattered sites on a quarterly
As
or
your property.
annual.
And we
Yeah,
have-
just for the base
Yeah.
management. Yeah, so if somebody has a concern of bed bugs, we will schedule John as an as-needed basis.
Okay.
But we do this just for protection of
All right. I
being a
understand.
high-rise,
Volume.
multifamily
Okay.
unit.
All right, I don't think we voted on this yet. Is there a
I'll
motion?
motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, and we have another second down there.
No,
You're just getting your name spread all over the record here.
Makes me
Yeah.
feel better.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further questions about bed bugs and dog inspections on properties?
Touche.
Hearing none, all in favor of approval of this contract, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to informational. Stephanie, number 1 is GBHA bills.
Those were in your packet. It is a lot of the same old, same old. Some things have gone up in price, just like everything else. So, does anyone have any questions on anything?
The washers and dryers are your stuff.
Oh, yes. Also, there was an added document for washers and dryers that were purchased. They were under Cheryl's approval amount or threshold.
Mhm.
So,
We purchased washers and dryers.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
replaced them in Mason Manor, which has been a godsend.
Yeah.
Just squeeze
All
some money
3 of us
out of
did,
staff time.
yes.
Having to work with them, so.
Okay.
So,
Very good. Any questions? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the GBHA financial report.
that was in your packet also. We are almost done with our year. It seems like it has not been that long since we started it, but, yeah, we are finishing it out. Are there any questions on it? We also have the CFP numbers in there also. We have received our 2023 number, which I think I have previously let you guys know, of $427,080. And now with our last of our approvals for our things, I should be able to get that submitted and it will be released to us then.
Great. Very good. All right, any questions? And we'll move on to the Langen report, that's also in the packet.
Oh, he has scattered sites in Mason Manor. So, because we are not leasing up right now, we have not submitted any applications to Langen for review, and we do not have any current fraud cases either for Mason Manor tenants.
Very good. All right. Then director's report, Cheryl.
I've got some good stuff to tell today. Jazz House broke ground, Journey to Adult Success. Their property is at the corner of Walnut and Baird, kitty corner from East High. They're going to be building 3 townhomes, and they will be housing teens and young adults that are aging out of foster care.
Okay.
So I was not aware that, let's say you turn 18 in January, you're still in high school, that, your
Yes.
foster parents could ask you to leave.
Yep.
So that presents a problem, a challenge for housing. So Jazz House is building that in cooperation with the city and their fundraising efforts, so that's great. I think they're going to be occupied in fall.
Great.
We continue to work, I believe MF Partners Mosaic will be doing our project at 1100 East Walnut. That's the 48 units coupled with United Way offices that will be combined there. They're looking, I believe, for groundbreaking this year as well. They're just finalizing up their financing. Bay City Lofts was denied. The project was voted down at council on Military Avenue, unfortunately, but luckily the developer was able to find a new site on University Avenue. So we're continuing to work with Gorman on that, and I think he's going to be breaking ground this year as well. Sandy was involved in that project a lot. I think there's a number of units that are going to be built that will be accessible, right? I know Ted was telling me that. He said, I'm working with Sandy, she's not putting up with a lot of stuff, she's making me do a lot of stuff, and I'm like, that's right, that's what needs to happen, so that's continuing to move along.
So can I ask a quick question on that, Cheryl?
Yeah,
So where on University is it?
so you know where the old Packer Line packing plant was? So you know where the new Festival Foods is, Riviera Lanes, next to that is where, there's a huge space. Tunin is actually developing market rate apartments on the top of the hill. He's got his unit, same design basically, underneath that in the lower section, so.
Okay, is that where the bowling alley was?
Right, no, this bowling alley's still there, it's next to that.
Okay, okay.
So if you drive out to the festival, you can see
It's up
work
on the
being
hill?
done. Yep.
Yep, okay. Yeah, I've seen a lot of,
And then can I ask a question on the one that you talked about just before, the townhouses?
I'm sorry, say that again, Sandy?
The townhouses
Yes.
that you were talking about?
And the corner of Walnut and Bear Jazz House, yep.
Yeah, I think that sounds really cool. Are they, because townhouses are inaccessible, are they doing any flats with that?
I don't think they are on this project, but this is
Okay,
one.
do you know if any accessibility is planned on anything? Not everybody who's aging out of foster or ambulatory, I'm sure they're gonna look at that, but yeah.
Yep, I don't think it is on this project, Sandy, but I can follow up
Okay.
and ask.
All right, thanks.
I have a dumb question. And maybe it's unrelated or inappropriate for this agenda, but
We'll find
I
out.
don't care.
fire away.
There are a lot of municipalities in this nation that via zoning code mandate a percentage of low-income housing by percentage. So similar to what's going on over there, like if you're doing a new development, 30% of it's gonna be within a demographic. Have we, as a city, entertained anything like that?
It was actually it was a recommendation on the Equal Rights Commission report, but I believe in the state of Wisconsin, during some of the Act 10 work that was done, that was, that's not a possibility for us in the state of Wisconsin to zone that way. Exclusionary zoning is not legal in Wisconsin. So yes, it has been brought up and we've looked at it.
Mhm.
We've got a planning option with the developer, Dewan Sherry from Milwaukee, who's looking to do 33 units on the corner of Monroe and Chicago. He's just starting to work on it now. He's got an architect in line, but I think he's looking for intellectually disabled folks, then have some type of a business on first floor to provide work, kind of program exchange. So I can get you his information too, Sandy. I actually referred him to you to give you a call. To talk about that design. So
Yeah, we will look at that. I'm just so glad that they're just looking to you for that, Cheryl, and I'm glad that you are promoting that and pushing them to us. We're
Yes.
happy to oversee that.
Yep.
Because our accessibility rates in our apartments are very low, so anytime new things come in, we'd like to see more, so.
Yep. So, and I'll make sure that I send you his information as well, so we can make sure there's a connection made there.
Thank you.
And then, just a reminder, we have a special meeting on May 31st.
Mhm.
We are in the thick of the most complicated development deal I've ever been a part of.
Huh.
We've had, I think I forwarded some of
Yes.
those docs, but.
I opened them up and I started looking at them, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but remember, we have Paul Dombrowski, Attorney Dombrowski from Hush Blackwell, who's representing us, as well as Baker Tilly as our consultant. So we've been working with them and Gorman and Company to come to the, I think the goal is to submit the final financing plan and get the WIDA credit stuff in by June 1 is the goal. And there's a lot of moving parts now with budgets and operating expenses and pilots, and it's all coming together. So that's why we couldn't have it at this meeting. We just weren't ready, and I didn't want to bring it until we were all on the same page on that. So that'll be coming up on the 31st.
Okay.
And everybody will be joining us for that meeting. I think Ted from Gorman's going to be here in person, and then
Yes.
Baker
Yes,
Tilly and
Baker
Paul will
Tilly
be.
and our attorney will all
Okay.
be at that meeting to talk about, because that's really, like, things get really real, because then,
Yes.
once the financing is completed, we're set, we're comfortable that we're at a spot, that we can maintain what's happening moving forward. We'll have a ground lease on our land, but we'll be selling the buildings to the developer. And then after a period of time, the tax credit period of time, it'll come back to us, but it's going to be firm and set that we're protected as the housing authority with that, and that we can continue to operate as we are fully staffed, which is what.
Would you describe really real as ultra official?
Ultra,
I'm
yes.
going to say really, I think they'd look at closing this deal in November and potentially breaking ground. We're going to start, we're actually interviewing tenants now for relocation purposes to get all that information going. So when I say real, I'm like
Yeah, no, this
action.
is rubber hitting the road, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, which would be
It's going to be
great.
fast in the next few weeks, months.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Time
Yes.
flies so fast.
So that's my report. That's probably enough.
Well, it is. Just a quick question. A couple of years ago, maybe more than a couple of years ago, there was like an affordability, housing affordability study that was
Mhm.
done for the city. Are you aware of any like updates to that might be pending?
Yep, our housing study from
Okay.
October, a couple of years ago. We've actually done quite a few things. I can give you an update at the next meeting if
Okay,
you want,
great.
just kind of where we are with that.
Yeah.
That might have been part of that as well, but the
Yeah.
recommendation of the zoning stuff. But,
Yeah.
we've done some things, we've like shrunk the size of a house, minimum house size on lots, and some things that systemically through the city would be helpful. The lot sizes, lot houses, because not
Yeah.
everyone needs to build a huge house with a huge lot, so.
Yeah.
But I can bring you a
Okay,
report back.
Good.
on
Yeah,
what
I
I've done.
did, one of the municipalities that I probably mentioned this before, but one of the municipalities I represented is putting in a new subdivision, and they split it up to put in smaller lots. So they have
Yes.
larger lots, like the usual customary subdivision lots, but they put in a bunch of
Yep.
small ones.
Yes.
And the intent was to put in smaller houses that kind of look like the neighborhood.
Right.
But they were intended to be starter houses for people wanting to buy a starter house. They were gone as soon as they
Oh.
opened it up, because all retirees wanted them.
I was just gonna say, that
Yeah.
sounds like, I would like that house,
Yeah.
right? Moving from a big house to a smaller house, because
Yeah.
you can't find it. There, I think there were actually, last time I looked, there were 6 houses for sale in the city that were like 200,000 or less.
Yeah.
It was crazy, that middle market is just invisible.
You
It's
know,
hard
these
to
were
look at.
houses that had, the typical house in that subdivision had like 3 garages. This was 2.
Right.
And a couple of bedrooms, but it had a yard, fenced-in yard, all that stuff. So it was, it
It was like
became
a
the
normal,
perfect-
like it was like a downtown city lot.
Yes, yes. And,
60 by 160.
people who were getting out of the bigger houses, kids are gone and
Right.
moving into a smaller house with a yard, they could still cut their grass, they wouldn't have to get rid of their riding lawn.
Priority.
Still garden in the backyard and
Yep,
still
yep.
have a backyard for the grandkids to play in. but-
Yep.
Yeah, so, well, good, I'll look forward to that next one. All right, anything else for the director? Hearing none, then we'll move on to the occupancy report.
Yes, so the current occupancy report is in your packet. Currently at Mason Manor, come the 1st, we will have 30 vacant units, which is pretty good, on track for our renovation and relo. So our developer is pretty happy with that number right now, and we'll continue to not fill units as construction starts.
So is that a technical term, relo?
Relocation.
Relocation, yeah.
I kind of figured it out, but I just wanted to clarify for the record.
Yeah.
Just in case anybody on the
We
outside.
just created a new one.
Yeah.
Jill.
Yes.
Like a
What is it, ultra?
ultra official.
It's ultra
Hyper,
official.
hyper.
Hyper.
Sorry.
That's a new one too, so, all right. Moving on, last item here before we adjourn, and that is our next meeting is June 15th, I'm assuming at 10:30
Well,
again?
it's actually
May
May 31st.
Oh, yeah, that's right, May
Because we have a special
31st.
meeting.
Our next regular meeting,
Yes,
and the May 30 meeting is at 10:30 also?
May
31st.
31st.
First, May 31st, 10:30. All right, anything else before we adjourn? Otherwise, is there a motion to adjourn?
At 9:30.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion, I'll second.
Oh,
And all in favor of adjournment of the Green Bay Housing Authority meeting for this date, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.